Recognise this face? What about this one? And who's that? These are the people who have been representing the most powerful countries in the world at the three-day United Nations Economic Summit. But they're not prime ministers nor presidents. They're lower-level ministers and delegates.
They do not want the broader discussion. They do not want the accountability to the broader number of countries and populations. And it's a form of evasion of responsibility.
From the developing world, plenty of top leaders, and they have noticed the absence of their counterparts.
Well, yes, a bit surprised because here we're faced with a global crisis and we have to address it. And we expect the leading or the more developed countries to be part of that dialogue because we all are being affected somehow or the other.
The summit became a direct and desperate appeal to the first world from developing countries, which are struggling to cope with the fallout from the economic meltdown because they don't have the financial systems and government resources to pull themselves out of the crisis. But a handful of Western diplomats privately dismissed the gathering as a joke, a tragedy and a waste of time, calling it a chance for developing countries to verbally attack capitalism and developed countries.
Many governments were calling for a one-off conference, and that's it. We have this one-off conference. We let the developing countries have their say. Let them talk it out. It will be some sort of a good therapy for them.
The effectiveness of the gathering may be judged by the outcome document, which has been approved by all member states at the General Assembly. Among the recommendations, increased aid and debt relief for poor nations, boosting representation of developing states at the International Monetary Fund and more supervision of hedge funds. The man who engineered the summit claims it was a success.
We're happy because we're on the right track to begin to address those issues and take the necessary measures to cope with them.
The document as it stands does not reflect the actual effect of the crisis on developing countries. And in that regard, we feel very much let down with the steps or the statements that have been made in the document.
And at least one member state admits the document is far from perfect.
It may not be the ideal document or near the ideal document, anything near it. But it's something that everyone is saying that it's something that we are going to live with it.
There's a growing sense of cautious hope for change amongst developing countries here at the summit, and that comes from presenting a united front to the world. But it's mixed in with some disappointment that those with power and money aren't even in the same room to hear their collective cry for help. Cath, Al Jazeera at the United Nations, New York.